You know that feeling when your whole world shifts in the span of about 30 seconds? When everything you thought you knew turns out to be a big fat lie, and you're left standing there like a deer in headlights, wondering what the hell just hit you. When the ground beneath your feet suddenly disappears, and you're falling into a void with no idea how to catch yourself? That was me at 9:47 p.m. on a Saturday night. I was at my fiancé's parents' house, supposedly having a nice dinner with the family. Everyone was in the living room watching some game on TV. The sound of the announcer's voice filtering through the walls. I'd volunteered to grab more drinks from the kitchen. It was supposed to be a normal night. A boring, normal, nothing to write home about night. The kind of night you forget about 5 minutes after it's over. But then I heard the voices. My name's Simone. I'm 34, a pediatric nurse, and I've been with my fiancé Derek for 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. The wedding was supposed to be in 4 months. I had the ring, the dress, the venue, the invitations, the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the whole 9 yards. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. Derek was everything I'd ever wanted in a partner. Handsome, charming, successful. He was a financial advisor, the kind of guy who wore tailored suits and drove a nice car. He'd swept me off my feet from the very beginning, showering me with attention and affection. He made me feel seen, valued, loved. After my divorce, I'd been so careful about protecting my heart, but Derek had broken down all my walls. The kitchen was connected to the back hallway, and Derek's mom, Patricia, had stepped out there to take a call, or so I assumed. But when I got close to the door, I realized she wasn't on the phone. She was talking to Derek, and what she was saying made my blood run cold. "Listen to me, Derek," Patricia was saying, her voice low and intense. "You've got to lock this down before the wedding. Once she signs those papers, she's stuck. She can't just walk away. She'll have to fight you for everything. And trust me, she won't have the money for that kind of battle. She'll be trapped, and that's exactly where you want her." "Mom, I don't know," Derek said, his voice hesitant. "She's been through a lot. Her divorce was brutal. She's finally getting back on her feet. She's been through so much pain. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the person who hurts her." "Oh, stop being so soft," Patricia snapped. "You think love pays the bills? You think love buys you a house? You think love is going to take care of you when you're old? No. Money does that. Money is the only thing that matters in this world. And right now, she's your ticket to a comfortable life. Don't screw this up. This is your chance, and you can't afford to blow it." "But Mom," "No buts. I didn't raise you to be a fool. You listen to me. You get her to put your name on everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts. Make her feel like it's a sign of commitment, like you're building a future together. She'll eat it up. She's desperate for love, desperate for security, desperate to feel safe. She'll do whatever you ask. She's vulnerable, and vulnerable people are easy to manipulate." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen, my hand still on the kitchen door, listening to the woman I was supposed to call my mother-in-law coaching her son on how to financially trap me. The woman who'd smiled at me over dinner, who'd hugged me and told me she was so happy to have me in the family. "And don't forget the prenup," Patricia continued. "Make sure she signs it, but make it look like you're doing her a favor. Tell her it's to protect her. Tell her you don't want her to worry about your debts. Tell her you want to make sure she's taken care of if anything happens to you. She'll believe it. She believes everything. She trusts you completely." "Mom, this feels wrong," Derek said, but his voice was weaker now, less sure. "I really care about her. I really love her. I don't want to hurt her. She's a good person. She doesn't deserve this." "Then don't think of it as hurting her. Think of it as securing your future. She's got a good job, a nice house, a solid retirement fund. She's got everything you need. You've got, well, You've got what you've got. And what you've got isn't enough to live on. This is your chance, son. Don't blow it. Don't let your feelings get in the way of your future. I heard footsteps coming toward the door. I panicked, ducked into the pantry, and held my breath. Patricia walked past, heading back to the living room, humming like she didn't have a care in the world. She was probably thinking about all the money she was going to get from me, all the things she could buy with my hard-earned savings. I stayed in that pantry for what felt like an eternity, my heart pounding so loud I was sure someone would hear it. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just heard. The woman I trusted, the man I loved, the man I was planning to marry. They were planning to use me, to trap me, to take everything I'd worked so hard to build, everything I'd sacrificed for. And the worst part, Derek had actually been going along with it. He'd been hesitant, sure, but he hadn't said no. He hadn't told his mom to back off. He hadn't defended me. He just stood there and listened, like a good little boy doing what his mommy told him to do. He hadn't fought for me. He hadn't protected me. He hadn't stood up for what was right. I was going to marry this man. I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And he was going to spend that life bleeding me dry. I didn't confront them that night. I couldn't. I was too shocked, too hurt, too angry to think straight. I knew that if I said anything, I'd say something I couldn't take back. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I put on a happy face, finished the dinner, and went home with Derek like everything was fine. I laughed at his jokes, held his hand, kissed him goodnight. But everything was not fine, not even close. That night, while Derek was sleeping next to me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying that conversation over and over in my head. Every word, every pause, every inflection. And the more I thought about it, the more things started to make sense. Little things I'd dismissed or ignored. Tiny red flags that I'd been too blind to see. Small moments that I'd explained away. Like the way Derek always asked about my finances. Not in a nosy way, but in a casual, just making conversation way. How much I made, how much I had saved, what my retirement plan looked like, whether I had any investments, whether I owned my house outright. He'd always made it seem like he was just interested in my life. Just curious about my future, just being a supportive partner. But now I realized he was gathering information. He was building a profile. He was planning his attack. Or the way he'd pushed for us to buy a house together. He'd found the perfect place. He said, it was a little above our budget, but with my savings and his future earnings, we could make it work. He'd even had a realtor friend draw up the paperwork. I'd thought it was romantic, him taking the initiative, planning our future together. Now I realized he was trying to get his name on my assets. He was trying to tie me down. Or the way he'd been so eager to set a wedding date. He'd wanted to get married as soon as possible. Even though I'd said I wanted to take things slow, he'd said he couldn't wait to spend the rest of his life with me. He'd said he loved me so much it hurt. Now I knew the truth. He couldn't wait to lock me down. He couldn't wait to trap me. Or the way he'd been so supportive of my career, so encouraging of my success. I'd thought he was proud of me. Now I realized he was just making sure I kept earning. He was just making sure the money kept coming in. I felt so stupid. So incredibly, painfully stupid. I was a smart woman. I had a good career. I'd survived a nasty divorce and come out stronger. I'd built a life for myself, a good life, a life I was proud of, and I'd almost let someone take it all away from me. I'd almost let myself be trapped again. The next morning, I started doing some digging. I checked Derek's financial records. What I found made my stomach turn. He was drowning in debt. Credit cards maxed out. Student loans he'd never paid. A car loan he was 3 months behind on. He'd been living way beyond his means, spending money he didn't have, and he'd been hiding it from me the whole time. He was a financial disaster. I checked his social media. His posts were all about travel. Nice restaurants, expensive gifts. He looked like a successful man, living the good life. But the credit card statements told a different story. He was borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And Paul was getting tired of waiting. He was living a lie. I checked his email. I know. It was a violation of privacy. I'd never done anything like that before. But at that point, I didn't care. I needed to know the truth. I needed to see for myself what I was dealing with. And what I found was devastating. There were emails between Derek and his mom, going back months. They'd been planning this from the beginning. Patricia had been coaching him on how to reel me in, how to make me fall in love with him, how to get me to trust him enough to merge our finances. She'd been pulling the strings from the very start. Remember, she'd written in one email, "Women like her are vulnerable. They've been hurt before. They're looking for stability, for someone to take care of them. Play the part. Be the knight in shining armor. Be everything she's ever wanted. She'll eat it up. She'll fall for it completely." And Derek had done exactly that. He'd been the perfect gentleman, the supportive partner, the doting fiancé. He'd told me everything I wanted to hear, done everything I wanted him to do. And all along, it was just an act, a performance, a carefully crafted deception. I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I had to confront him, had to hear him say it to my face, had to see if he could look me in the eye and lie to me one more time. I waited until we were alone, sitting in our living room, watching some mindless TV show that neither of us was really paying attention to. Then I turned to him and said, "We need to talk." He looked at me, his expression curious. "Sure, babe. What's on your mind? You seem tense. Is everything okay? I overheard you and your mom at dinner the other night. In the hallway. I heard everything." The color drained from his face. It was like watching a magic trick. One second he was there, the next he was a ghost. His eyes went wide with shock and fear. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice strangled. "What did you hear?" "I mean, I heard everything. The whole conversation. About trapping me financially. About putting your name on everything. About the prenup. About how I'm desperate and vulnerable and easy to manipulate. Everything. Every single word." He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. He looked like a fish, gasping for air, floundering, trying to find something to say. "I heard you, Derek," I continued, my voice cold and steady. "I heard you not saying no. I heard you not standing up for me. I heard you letting your mother tell you how to ruin my life. I heard you agreeing with her." "It's not what you think," he finally managed. "Simone, please, let me explain. Let me tell you my side." "Explain what? Explain how you've been lying to me from day one? Explain how you've been using me for my money? Explain how you and your mom have been planning this whole thing like some kind of sick game?" "I'm listening. Explain it to me." "It wasn't like that, I swear. My mom, she gets carried away sometimes. She just wants what's best for me. But I would never do anything to hurt you. I love you. I've always loved you. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." "Love me?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You don't love me, Derek. You love what I can give you. You love my house, my savings, my retirement fund. You love the idea of being taken care of. You love the idea of not having to work for anything. But me? The real me? You don't even know who that is." "That's not true. I know you. I know everything about you. I know your favorite color, your favorite food, your favorite movie. I know how you take your coffee. I know what makes you laugh. I know what makes you cry. Do you know that I spent 2 years paying off my ex-husband's gambling debts? Do you know that I worked 3 jobs to keep my house when he walked out? Do you know that I've been saving for retirement since I was 22? Because I was terrified of ending up like my mother, broke and alone. No, Derek, you don't know any of that. Because you never asked. You never wanted to know. You just wanted to use me. He started crying then, real tears, streaming down his face, his shoulders shaking. It was a performance, and it was a good one. But I'd seen enough performances to know the difference. I'd been manipulated before. I knew the signs. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I should have told you everything. But I was scared. I was so scared of losing you. I was so scared you'd leave me if you knew the truth. You never had me," I said quietly. "You had a version of me. A version that you and your mom created. A version that was easy to manipulate. A version that was desperate and vulnerable and trusting. But the real me is done being a pawn. The real me is done being used. The breakup was messy, ugly. The kind of breakup that leaves scorch marks on everything it touches. The kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew. Derek begged, he pleaded, he promised to change. He swore he would cut his mom off, get therapy, do whatever it took to make things right. He sent flowers, wrote letters, left voicemails that ranged from tearful apologies to angry accusations. He showed up at my door, at my work, at my gym. He wouldn't take no for an answer. I didn't respond, not once, because I knew that anything I said would just give him hope. And I didn't want to give him hope. I wanted him to know that it was over, that there was no coming back from what he'd done, that he'd destroyed any chance of a future with me. Patricia called me too. She tried to explain, to justify, to make me understand that she was just looking out for her son. She told me I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic, that I was throwing away a good man over a misunderstanding. She told me I'd never find anyone better. She told me I was making a huge mistake. I hung up on her. Then I blocked her number. The hardest part was explaining everything to my friends and family. They'd all loved Derek. They'd all thought he was perfect for me. They'd all been so happy for me when we got engaged. And now I had to tell them that he was a con artist, a fraud, a man who'd been planning to use me for my money from the very beginning. I had to tell them that I'd been duped. Some of them didn't believe me at first. They thought I was overreacting, that I was letting my past trauma cloud my judgment, that I was being too harsh. They couldn't believe that the charming man they'd met could be so calculating. They'd seen the way he looked at me, the way he treated me. They couldn't reconcile that image with what I was telling them. But then I showed them the emails. I showed them the financial records. I showed them everything, and when they saw the proof, their attitudes changed. They were horrified, angry, protective. They rallied around me, supported me, helped me pick up the pieces. It took me a long time to heal. Months of therapy, of late-night conversations with friends, of crying in the shower when no one was watching. I felt like such a fool. How could I have been so blind? How could I have let myself be so easily manipulated? How could I have trusted someone so completely? But eventually I started to forgive myself. I realized that it wasn't my fault. I'd been lied to, manipulated, deceived. I'd trusted someone who didn't deserve my trust. And that was on him, not on me. I'd done nothing wrong. A few months after the breakup, I got a letter in the mail. It was from a law firm I'd never heard of. My heart was pounding as I opened it, terrified of what I might find. I'd been through so much already. I didn't think I could handle any more. It was a lawsuit from Derek. He was suing me for emotional distress and breach of promise. He claimed that I'd led him on, promised to marry him, and then cruelly abandoned him. He was asking for $50,000 in damages. He wanted me to pay for the pain I'd caused him. The audacity, I couldn't believe it. The audacity, the sheer breathtaking audacity. He'd tried to trap me financially. And when that didn't work, he was trying to sue me for money he felt he was owed. He was trying to take from me one more time. I called my lawyer, a sharp woman named Deborah, who'd helped me with my divorce. She listened to the whole story, read the letter, and then laughed. "Simone," she said, "this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. This lawsuit is completely frivolous. But you know what? If he wants to play this game, we can play it right back. We can make him sorry he ever tried this. And we did. We countersued for fraud, emotional distress, and financial abuse. We took him to court and laid out the whole sordid story. The emails, the financial records, the conversations I'd overheard, the evidence of his lies. Derek's lawyer tried to spin it. He claimed that I'd misunderstood everything, that Patricia was just a protective mother, that Derek had been the victim of my emotional instability. He tried to paint me as the villain, as the crazy ex-girlfriend who couldn't let go. But the evidence was overwhelming. And when the judge heard it all, she didn't take long to make her decision. "Mr. Harrison," she said, looking at Derek with barely concealed disgust, "you have wasted this court's time with a frivolous lawsuit that was clearly designed to harass and intimidate your former fiancé. I am dismissing your case with prejudice, and I'm ordering you to pay Ms. Vance's legal fees. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. You should be ashamed of yourself." Derek's face went white. His lawyer looked like he was going to be sick. And I just sat there feeling a wave of relief so powerful it almost knocked me over. It was over. Finally, it was over. It took me another year to fully recover from the whole ordeal. There were days when I felt like I'd never trust anyone again. Days when I thought about giving up on love entirely. Days when I just wanted to curl up in a ball and hide from the world. Days when I felt like I'd been permanently damaged. But I didn't give up. I couldn't. I'd survived too much to let one bad experience define me. I'd come too far to let one con artist destroy my future. I started going to therapy regularly. I needed to work through the trauma, to understand why I'd been so vulnerable, to learn how to protect myself in the future. I reconnected with old friends who'd stuck by me through everything. I threw myself into my work, my hobbies, my life. I reminded myself that I was strong, capable, worthy of love and respect. And slowly, gradually, I started to heal. I also started to learn. I learned how to spot the red flags I'd missed before. I learned how to trust my instincts. I learned that it was okay to be guarded, okay to be cautious, okay to take things slow. I learned that love wasn't about rushing in, but about building something real. I also learned something else, something that I think was the most important lesson of all. I learned that my worth wasn't tied to anyone else, not to Derek, not to Patricia, not to any man. I was enough, all on my own. I had enough. I was enough. And I didn't need anyone to complete me. I didn't need anyone to save me. I could save myself. About 2 years after the whole mess with Derek, I met someone new. His name was Marcus. He was a firefighter, kind and steady and completely unimpressed by my money. He didn't care about my savings or my house or my retirement fund. He cared about me. He wanted to know who I was, not what I had. I was cautious at first, skeptical. I'd been burned before, and I wasn't about to let it happen again. I watched him closely, looking for any sign that he might be like Derek, any hint of deception or dishonesty. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. But Marcus was patient. He didn't push. He didn't pressure. He just waited, and showed up, and proved himself. He was consistent, reliable, and completely transparent. He never hid his phone. He never made excuses. He never gave me any reason to doubt him. He never asked about my finances. He never tried to rush things. He never made me feel like I owed him anything. He just loved me, for me, the real me, the broken me, the healing me, all of me. It took me a long time to trust him, a long time to let my guard down, a long time to believe that he was real and that he wasn't going to hurt me. But eventually I did, and it was the best decision I ever made. We're married now, 2 years and counting. We have a beautiful life together, a home, a dog, plans for a family. And best of all, we have trust. Real trust. The kind that's earned, not demanded. The kind that's built on honesty and respect. The kind that can survive anything. I still think about Derek sometimes, not with longing, but with a kind of cold, clinical detachment. I think about what could have happened if I hadn't overheard that conversation. I think about the life I could have had if I'd been foolish enough to go through with the wedding. I think about how close I came to making the biggest mistake of my life. And then I think about the life I have now. The life I built. The life I earned. The life I deserve. And I'm grateful. So incredibly grateful. So what's the lesson here? What's the takeaway from all of this? I think it's this: trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. If someone is pushing you to make decisions you're not ready for, they probably have something to hide. If someone is trying to rush you into commitment, they probably have ulterior motives. And if you ever hear someone talking about you in a way that makes your skin crawl, listen to that feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it. Don't explain it away. Because your instincts are there for a reason. They're there to protect you. They're there to warn you. They're there to save you. And ignoring them can be the biggest mistake of your life. I also think it's important to remember that you are enough. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You don't need anyone else to validate you. You don't need anyone else to make you feel worthy. You don't need anyone else to define you. You already are worthy, just as you are. Right now, this very moment, with all your flaws and all your strengths and all your complicated history, and anyone who tries to convince you otherwise, they're not worth your time. They're not worth your energy. They're not worth your love. They're not worth your trust. Because the people who truly love you don't want to trap you. They don't want to use you. They don't want to take from you. They don't want to control you. They want to build with you. They want to grow with you. They want to share with you. They want to support you. They want to see you thrive. And that's the kind of love we all deserve. If you're reading this and you're in a situation like the one I was in, I want you to know something. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that it's not your fault. And I want you to know that you have the strength to walk away. It's scary. I know it's scary. The thought of starting over, of being alone, of facing the unknown. It's terrifying. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do. But I promise you, it's better than staying in a situation where you're being used. It's better than staying in a situation where you're not valued. It's better than staying in a situation where your love is being weaponized against you. You deserve better. You deserve love that's honest and real. You deserve a partner who sees you, truly sees you, and loves you for who you are, not for what you can give them, not for what you can do for them, not for what they can take from you. And if you're not sure if you have the strength to leave, remember this. You have survived everything life has thrown at you so far. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every setback, every betrayal, every loss. You are still here, still standing, still fighting, still breathing. And that means you're stronger than you know, braver than you feel, and capable of more than you can imagine. So take that step. Make that decision. Choose yourself, because you are worth it. You have always been worth it, and you always will be. Looking back on everything that happened, I don't regret any of it. Not the pain, not the heartbreak, not the betrayal, not the years of my life that I wasted on a man who didn't deserve me, because all of it led me here. All of it made me who I am today. A woman who knows her worth, a woman who refuses to settle. A woman who understands that love is not a transaction, but a partnership. A woman who knows that she deserves to be with someone who treats her with respect. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would, exactly the same way. Because sometimes, the only way to find your way out of the darkness is to walk through it. Sometimes, the only way to find yourself is to lose everything you thought you had. So thank you, Derek. Thank you. Patricia, thank you for showing me who you really were before it was too late. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to choose myself. Thank you for making me stronger. And thank you, Marcus, for showing me what real love looks like. For being patient. For being kind. For being everything I never knew I needed. For proving that good men still exist. I'm grateful for all of it. The good and the bad. The joy and the pain. Because it all led me here. To this moment. To this life. To this love. And that's the greatest gift of all. Loved this story? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a video. I upload brand new stories every single day. Gripping, emotional, and packed with twists that'll keep you guessing until the very end. Don't forget to like this video if it gave you all the feels. Comment below, have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to take advantage of you financially? How did you handle it? I read every single comment. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best lessons come from other people's experiences. Got a story idea? Drop it in the comments. Your suggestion might just become the next video on this channel. Subscribe now and join our growing family of story lovers. New videos drop daily at 7 a.m. EST. Perfect to watch with your morning coffee. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and never let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. Because you are, you always have been, and you always will be.